Bust down, Tatiana. Bust down, Tatiana. I wanna see you bust down. Pick it up, not break that shit.
Okay, welcome. Welcome back, 32 subscribers. I'm fearful that my whole neighborhood will hear this video. So, the topic of discussion today. Fuck, I have so much energy. We're gonna talk about antidepressants. My whole journey with them, what I think about them. I think they're trash. I don't want to discredit how much they can work for other people. And I think that they really do help other people, you know, in their final hours of need. But for me personally, they just probably were the worst thing for me. They actually made me feel worse than I've ever felt, you know, in my entirety, like dealing with depression. So the first one that I was put onto was a citalopram. I think that's how you say it. I don't know. And this is actually, now that I'm not on it anymore, this is actually one of the worst in terms of withdrawal when you come off it. I recommend to be super cautious when getting on this and do your research, because it's pretty fucked.
Bust down, Tatiana. Bust down, Tatiana.
I had to, it's actually so good.
Bust down, Tatiana.
So I started on like 30 milligrams and I never went up or down. Going into it, you basically have thoughts that are kind of outside of yourself and feel like you're not in control of what you're thinking at all, and you kind of actually feel really psychotic. You don't feel that when you're just depressed, you just feel like fucked, but you don't necessarily, unless you have other, like, unless you're like bipolar or borderline personality, you don't necessarily get manic. So with the medication, a lot of the time, like, you'll be staring at walls for like 10 minutes and you're just like, huh, okay. Like, what? You know, just lost in conversation, very not alert, not present, because what it does is it kind of makes you flatline, so you're not necessarily like suicidal, but you're not happy either. Okay, actually no, going into it, I've never ever before, in maybe my like 4 or 5 years of depression, I've never felt an urge to self-harm. Did when I was going onto this medication. Like, I would go to my kitchen and, sorry mom, I would go to my kitchen and go to my knife drawer and just look at my knife drawer and be like, oh my god, I just want to like grab this knife and just start like going at my fucking arm, just like. And it wasn't because I wanted to hurt myself, it was because you experience such sheer frustration and such intense emotion, and also like intense irritability, that you want to feel something, because you're just like, oh my god, I feel so fucked that I just need to like release whatever it is that's kind of like brooding inside of me. I don't know if that's the right word. So yeah, I don't know. With those, it didn't work for me. I found that like was really crazy going into it. Once I stabilized a little bit, I was like, oh, I feel like a little bit better, but that could have just been my normal fluctuation of mood anyway. Like, a lot of when you have depression, you're not, I don't know, like, unless you're going through a really hard time, which we all have, you're not really depressed the whole time. Like, you go through like, oh, I'm feeling really good today, I'm feeling really bad, and it's just like up and down like that for the rest of your fucking life. Kidding. After that period of feeling kind of okay, I started to decline again, started to feel super irritable, completely disconnected. Actually, sorry, no, I was on 10 milligrams, which is, yeah, every medication is going to have like different dosage. I'm trying to figure out how to wear this t-shirt. I'm like this, but then you're like that titty girl that's like, look at my breasts. So I don't know, it's weird. I never wear this shirt. So many people walking around in my house, you know, just living their own life. How rude of them. Yeah, so I was on 20, went back to the doctor, still suicidal, still feeling bad. What can we do? And, you know, look, I recommend for anyone that hasn't been on antidepressants and is looking to get onto them, go to a psychiatrist. I don't think GPs, unless you get a really good one, I don't really think that they don't study that a lot. They're a general practitioner. They study everything generally. So I just feel like they don't really have like a lot of knowledge on antidepressants. And also we have no idea what actually happens in the body and in the mind when antidepressants are taken. Like, a doctor even told me it was a stab in the dark because she didn't actually know what the process was or what happened when you took them. So you just kind of take one and you're like, well, I either feel better or I don't, you know, and I didn't. So I went back to the doctor and they took me up. They took me way up. What? I went up, and that was horrible. And I was only on 20 milligrams, which is actually still a very low dose, but I'm very sensitive. And I just was like a zombie. I didn't feel happy at all. I felt more irritated, more irritable, more just staring at walls and being like, oh my God, I'm literally a shell of a human. So I got off of that. That was probably the worst withdrawal ever. Lessons I will give people, or tips I will give people when getting off of medication. Honestly, drop down, take it slow. Do not just go off them. I've done it. It's what I'm doing now. It's not good. It's too late for me. There's no going back. I gotta stick on this ride. This is a roller coaster, baby. We on it. We strapped in, even though that's like a seatbelt for a car. You know what I'm saying? Or like, we strapped in. It's hard. Like, I just drank a lot because I was getting really, people who have dabbled in medication will completely understand this. You get brain zaps, you get tingling, you get full body zaps, you get like sick in the stomach because you're withdrawing from a drug, you know, so it's pretty hard. Yeah, I was just basically drinking a lot so I wouldn't have to sit at home and wallow in whatever the fuck I was feeling. So that was pretty horrible. And I was like, all right, well, I'm still feeling pretty fucking bad. So I went on another one. So I went on Cymbalta. That basically felt like, because at the time I was getting really intrusive. I was getting really intrusive suicidal thoughts, and I was just like, oh my God, I can't handle this. So that kind of leveled me out, where I was like, okay, these thoughts are less intrusive. Going in on it, it wasn't as bad as going in on the acetilopram, but it still was like, yeah, it wasn't good. It was not good. And I went back to the doctor after a month, because what a good doctor will do is not give you a repeat script straight away, because they want to see how you do on it for a month, and you have to go back in to discuss like, okay, it's either working for me or not, or we're going to go up or we're going to go off or whatever it is. So we talked, and she was like, look, if you're still getting suicidal thoughts, it's obviously not working for you. The recommended dosage is actually double of what you're on. So you can either go up. I mean, it's not that she didn't give me a choice, but she suggested, she's like, you can either go up or you can go off. And if you go up, then you know that it is the right one for you, and it is, you know, what you should be using. Otherwise, if it makes you feel worse, then you know you need to get off. Now, I will say that I did start taking it at a time in my cycle where I was like premenstrual. Well, yeah, I was premenstrual, and a lot of the time when I'm like that, along with a lot of other females I know that have depression, just because someone kind of goes to you, oh, like, you were gonna get your period, and okay, so that's why you felt that way, and that's great, but that doesn't actually lessen the severity of how badly you feel in that fucking week, 2 weeks. Like, this is why I started to go see a naturopath originally, because for 2 weeks I would feel suicidal, really bad mood, then I'd get my period, then I'd level out for a week and feel really good, and then the whole cycle would start all over again. Anyway, we're getting distracted here. So I started taking that, went up by the third day, I was like, oh, I'm feeling disconnected from reality. Like, I don't feel better. I feel way more irritable, because Cymbalta, I will say, really bad for anxiety, makes your anxiety 10 times worse. I was just walking around constantly with anxiety, like just fucking tightness in the chest, which I'm still experiencing, which is super fun. It's a fun time. I was like, I'm fucking done with these drugs. Let me off them. So I was on that for a week, and then I so badly wanted to get off them that for one day I was like, fuck it, I'm taking, you know, I'm not going to take anything. And then I spoke to one of my friends, and she, you know, had said to me, dude, do not do that, because she is someone that's well versed in medications. She was like, do not do that, you'll feel worse, you'll, you know, make your body collapse into itself essentially. So I agreed. I went and got a script for 30 to go back down. Was on that for 4 days, 5 days maybe. And you know what? I made a rookie error. I made a bad decision. I just went off because when you are on these meds, like, you get so frustrated that you just want to you want off them. If something's making you feel bad, do you feel like you'll voluntarily take that and be like, oh, I know this is bad, but this is what I have to do? And I wasn't being logical at that point, and so I just completely went off. That was a really bad idea. I had like full-on mental breakdowns to the point where I kind of was considering going to hospital just to be sedated, because I felt that horrible and weird, and just like sitting in the bathroom on the floor just like crying. Oh my god, it was fucking horrible. And it wasn't to like, I want to harm myself, I want to kill myself. I was just like, I'm completely aware that this is a medication and it doesn't make me want to hurt myself. It just feels like horrible and disgusting. So they're actually, yeah, don't do what I did. But anyway, I'm kind of, I think, through the thick of the woods now. Basically, both of them coming off were both, like, they were both fucked in different ways. I kind of thought the Cymbalta, which is the second one, would be easier. It wasn't. They both give you like full body zaps, brain zaps. Like even this morning when I was getting up, I was just like got like a zzz, and I'm like, oh, okay. And also Cymbalta gives you like hectic nightmares when you kind of get off, like just really weird dreams, really confronting, like disturbing dreams. I had a dream the other night, which I was like, you know, when you're in that half sleep, you're not in a deep sleep, that my mother and I were driving along in a car, and then we were just like driving, and we actually saw a friend who, it was like raining, and another friend was driving, and we were going to crash into her, and it was so real. And it was just, my mom was like, oh my god, fuck, hold on. And then I like woke up and I'm like, oh well, good morning to me, you know, like that was so disturbing. I think that taking antidepressants is completely, entirely a band-aid. I always knew that going into them. I just was so bad that I was like, I am afraid for what I'm going to do to myself if I don't get on to something that's going to stabilize me a bit more. So yeah, I don't think that they're good. I wouldn't take them again. I actually wouldn't go on a third one. I was supposed to see a psychiatrist to like properly talk about it and kind of say, okay, this is what's going on in my life. This is what's happening. What should I get on? But this is the issue. When you go to the doctor and you say, hey, I'm suicidal, I'm depressed, you know, I have been for 6 months, they go, okay, let's put you on a medication, instead of saying, okay, have you had a tragedy in your life? Have you, you know, trauma? Do you have good relationships? Do you like the place that you work? All of these things will entirely cause depression. Do you have like childhood trauma that you haven't fucking dealt with, that's deep inside your body and it's just making you feel shit all the time? All of these things are probably the main factors as to why people will be depressed. Disconnection from other people, disconnection from a job that they may be going to 5 days a week and completely fucking hating it, because I know what that feels like. I've actually been like full-on suicidal at jobs before, where I've been like, I'm not going to make it through the day, closed the shop front to like self-harm, and then like the thing that I wasn't using was sharp enough, so I kind of laughed at myself and just continued on with the day. Like I was on medication as well, so it just shows you like my mind never went to self-harm before medication, which is why I think it can be super dangerous, because I know it's not in my character to do that. Yeah, I think that we're way too quick to just push drugs onto people instead of kind of actually asking what is going on in someone's life, and, you know, asking the reason as to why they could be depressed. So before you get on medication, I strongly recommend that if you're not already, go see a therapist. Look at the different things, you know, different components in your life. My work that I go to, do I like it? Do I have good friends? Am I learning? Am I growing there? Friends, am I learning and growing off of them? Are they learning and growing off of me? Family, sometimes that can't be helped and you just have bad relationships. Fuck, deal with it. Just all little things that will help you. And I think I'm finally on the right path where I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to feel like I have a purpose. And I think nothing drives you quicker into a deep depression than feeling like you have a lack of purpose. We all want to have a purpose as humans. We all want to, well, that's not true. Some people are very happy just sitting on their ass and drinking a tinny. Not even funny. I just didn't know what else to say because I have to make this content entertaining kind of and not just a boring TED talk. Otherwise people won't listen. Yeah, look at your life and kind of understand. Like for me, I thought a lot of it was physical inflammation, which I do, like chronic illnesses. And that is a huge part. As we are starting to discover, you know, like most of your serotonin is actually made in your gut because your brain and your gut are entirely connected in terms of happiness and how you're going to feel day to day. So if you're filling your body with trash and you're drinking a lot of alcohol, you're smoking a lot of cigarettes, you're smoking a lot of weed, that can be detrimental to people with depression. I love weed. It's a love-hate relationship. But I actually have decided to stop daily smoking because I found like, wow, I actually have another 6 spare hours in the day that I can go and read a book and learn something, or I can go and connect with a friend, or I can do something that's going to benefit my future self rather than just go and watch Rick and Morty, you know, on YouTube. As much as that is great and mindless fun is great too, if you do a lot of it, you'll end up like 2 months later waking up and going, what the fuck happened to my life? Like that's kind of what happened when I first started to get into weed. I was always kind of like a social smoker, and then I just started to smoke a lot, and 6 months later I woke up and I was like, oh my god, I'm in such a deep hole, like how did I even get here? Basically, it's very important to reflect and not just go, oh, I'm so depressed, medication, Xanax, Valium. Like, why am I depressed? How can I fix myself? I have to look internally. Also, book club. I will be talking about this in my next video too. This is where I got a lot of the ideas. This is amazing. The guy that actually wrote this was on antidepressants for about 14 or 15 years, and he was like an advocate for antidepressants. He thought that they were the best thing ever, whatever. Then kind of eventually started to realize like, I'm having to go up and up and up on my dose, but it's not actually fixing the problem. We always have to get to the root cause, you know, as to why we're feeling so fucking horrible. Think about it with physical illness. If you have migraines all the time, are you just gonna go, and you may be that kind of person, but you may also go to the doctor and be like, hey, I'm suffering from migraines all the time. I have a loss of vision. I'm feeling really shit. Let's do some blood tests. You should definitely treat your mental health the same. Your body is talking to you and your body is telling you something. It may not be the clearest message, but it's a fucking message. So there it is. There you have it. This, we treat it like a hot potato and then it's out. Peace.